Swift at 41 now. I don't have any bad blood. Actually, things look pretty darn good this morning on finances. Head downtown to the offices of Statler Financial Services and find out what's going on. Phillip Statler's on the line this morning again. Phillip, how are you?
Good morning, Dave. Hey, yesterday, not such a good day, but looks like a little bounce back maybe this morning.
Yeah, I was going to say the day was El Stinko, but things are looking relatively good today. Yesterday was one of those days where we kind of flushed it all the way down for the rest of the day. We started out with the housing starts report. We did get that out of the government to probably both of our surprises. And it wasn't good news for folks that are looking at housing as a harbinger of the rest of the economy, right?
No, it wasn't. Housing was down 6.4% from the month before. And that was, if we look at the overall numbers, as far as what the analysts were expecting, we were missed there a little bit too. They were expecting that, I pull my numbers up here, 5.2% or 5.22, and it came in at 4.99. So not a huge miss, but still a miss when it comes to housing. And I think probably part of that is that we saw a reduction in mortgage applications by about 2.7% last month, and that's due mostly to a rise in interest rates.
Kind of makes you wonder. I mean, you and I have talked about mortgage rates before. In absolute terms, mortgages aren't obscenely unaffordable at the moment compared to history, but at the same time, it does take some getting used to. You know, the notion of a 5% mortgage instead of a 3.75% mortgage. I wonder how long, and I haven't read any kind of projections or analysts saying that this will flush out and we'll start getting back to doing business as usual. I'm still regarding this as being more a pause than anything, aren't you?
Well, most likely. I mean, that's like you and I talked about before. It takes a little while for prices of homes to catch up with interest rates at the mortgage level. And so when those two come in balance, then you see, people are willing to spend the money again. But it takes a little while for the people that are trying to sell their homes to realize interest rates are up. I'm not going to get quite as much as I thought for my house, so I'm going to start dropping the price a little bit. And that's, that takes some time.
Exactly. And I've never seen any research as to how long that winnowing on average takes place, but it's definitely a winnowing process at the very least. And the downside is, of course, and that, housing is a harbinger of a whole lot of allied fields as well. I gotta believe some of it too. It took so doggone long for the mortgage rates to creep up when the Fed started raising interest rates. All those commercial mortgage companies saying, hey, they're low, buy now. I wonder if we kind of pushed the market a little bit during the halcyon days as well.
Well, that's always the case, because the mortgage guys do mortgages, right? So they're gonna push hard through that process, and so, but we still see that interest rates are going up a little bit, and so, but while they were down, we had more people taking advantage of them.
Absolutely. The other bit of interest item that kind of messed with our brains yesterday and didn't help the market a bit is Japan's central bank says it looks like their economy is slowing down as well. That's the third biggest economy in the world. Their central bank has done just about everything to get their economy growing again, including they were one of the pioneers in negative interest rates for a little while in there during the depth of the recession. We never really have been able to get Japan growing again. They aren't dead by any measure, but hearing news that Japan could be slowing down even with a central bank that's working its buns off in order to get things moving, that didn't help the mood on Wall Street a bit either.
No, it really didn't. If you think back, it's been a long time since Japan has really been cooking. And I think it goes back actually to, I remember, in the day when you picked up an item and it said made in Japan. Now
Always.
we pick up an item and what does it say? Made in China. And so I think the big thing there is that, again, China has kind of replaced Japan, and Japan's having a hard time. They've struggled now for probably 20 years trying to get that footing back, and I'm not sure what it's going to take to do it.
I don't know either. One of the things that caught my eye out of the first paragraph in that story about the central bank in Japan was that, it's legendary. I mean, the home of the lost decade, Japan. Even with their slow growth for the last 20 years, they still are the third largest economy in the world. So when they do another hiccup, and if it's downward, that's not anything that's good for the world economy by any way, manner, or form. But just the fact that they've stayed number three, even as slow as their growth rate has been for the last few years, just absolutely boggles my mind.
Well, I think it's probably the number of people they've stacked in there. Um,
That's
people are going to spend money no matter what, Dave. They've got to live. And so I think that's probably part of the deal there.
absolutely. They also invented motel rooms that look like piles of cordwood over there, don't they?
Yep, they really did.
Whole bunch of reports out this morning from companies we've actually heard of. We don't need to get too esoteric for some of these. And we got a few stragglers in the financial world, and they're kind of reflecting the picture that we were drawing yesterday. The big national names are kind of having a rough time of it. Most notable among them for this morning, Capital One, right?
Yeah, we talked about banks a little bit yesterday, and Capital One is struggling. They really came out and missed. They came in at $2 a share. That was a 37-cent a share miss. Their revenue obviously always also kind of missed the forecast, and I think this is probably a big deal. They had an 81% increase in marketing cost,
Ooh.
and obviously that marketing cost did not go to the top line. They did not gather, I guess, the number of loans they needed to really look to be profitable this quarter. And so they're well, if my computer is moving a little slow this morning, Dave.
I'm showing them top dog on my loser list this morning. They're down almost 6% in pre-market trade.
Yeah, when I looked earlier, they were down. I'm not getting them back up right now. Sorry about that.
Showing 5.88% down now. The answer to the question, if you're a Capital One stockholder, what's in your wallet, is less today than yesterday, right?
Exactly. Yep, it is. I mean, they're just really struggling right now.
Other financial information that you saw pop up from that category.
Well, we had Synchrony Bank, and I don't know if you've looked at them, but they really had a pretty good quarter. They're up about 16 cents a share. They beat on the revenue side. They've reached an agreement to extend their partnership with Walmart's Sam's Club to kind of continue to manage their Sam's credit card portfolio. So that's a good thing on that point. And they looking pretty good this morning. Dave, I apologize. My computer's just running slow. It's up about almost 13% this morning.
Oh, cool. That's a big one down the line. They're also the people that administer the Amazon credit card system, which ain't a bad partner to have for a company that does almost all of its business on plastic. Northern Trust, you didn't have the numbers on it. I didn't get the numbers either, but that was another super regional that is trading upward this morning because they ended up beating on their report too. It kind of keeps that thing going. Consumer banks that do business on the regional level seem to be doing okay. The big national ones with the great big platforms, they're having the difficulties again.
They are. They're having a few issues there. And we had some other top names kind of come out, Dave. Comcast came out, and they beat the street by a couple cents a share, revenue top forecast, and they increased their dividend by 10%. So that's a good thing there too. And they're trading up about 2.5% this morning before the market opens up today.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, I found it kind of interesting. The analysts actually expected Comcast cable revenue to go down, and it went up, which was kind of a surprise. Maybe people aren't cutting the cord quite as much as people thought they were, huh?
Well, or maybe they're just holding on to a little part of it too. They may be cutting part of the cord, but not all of the cord. But we had things like United Technologies, Dave. They're the maker of the Carrier air conditioning brand, Otis elevators. So they had a pretty good quarter too. They beat substantially. They came in at $1.95 a share. They were only expected to come in at $1.53 a share. So revenue was well above forecast. They did, and I don't remember seeing this, but they did buy the defense contractor Rockwell Collins. And so they say that helped their bottom line also this quarter. They're trading up 4.75% today.
Wow. And IBM Big Blue, one of the lead stories I saw is IBM stock based on their pre-market trading is officially in bull market territory. Did you ever expect to see IBM a market leader again?
Well, they're trying to reinvent themselves. They must have done a good job because remember last quarter they struggled a little bit in certain areas, and so it looks like they're making some headway now. They beat by about 5 cents a share. Forecast was ahead of expectations, and they gave a strong guidance for 2019 when it comes to their service business, which I think is probably a good thing on their part. And they're trading up today 7%.
All right, quickly, because we're running out of time here. I know we got a couple of big consumer names that reported that folks will recognize. Kimberly-Clark and toilet paper are not a good mix at the moment, I gather.
No, and that one, I didn't have all the numbers for that one. But I know they missed, but I don't have any of the details, Dave.
All right. Did you have Procter and Gamble though on the other
did.
side of consumer stuff? Yeah, they had a beat, I know.
They did. They beat by about 4 cents a share, and then their revenue top forecast. So they had a really good sales quarter. Their organic sales were up 4%, which was getting close to double what was expected. So good things there. They're up about 4.25% this morning.
So we got a mixed bag for the reports that we got out. It looks like I'd call it basically about a 60% positive report day so far. That follows up a day yesterday to set the table. All of the indexes were down by a 1.25% or more. Dow was off 1.2%. NASDAQ got creamed. It was down 136 points, down the better part of 2%. And the Standard & Poor's a little under 1.5% off 38 yesterday. 45 minutes before we open, Phillip, you got some good news to start us out this morning?
Hey, it looks like a lot of green this morning, Dave. The Dow's up 155 points. The S&P 500 is up 9.5, and the NASDAQ's up 25.5. Gold's trading down about 0.25% this morning, and silver's basically even right now. Crude oil is heading up about 0.5%. It's at $53.24 a barrel right now.
All righty. Rounded about the world, the Asian Rim, nobody liked the Japanese news this morning. They all closed in the red this morning. Europe is a mixed bag. England trading down a bit this morning. The German stock market pointing up so far today. Phillip, somebody want to stabilize their retirement and find out how to make it productive. I'll bet you can help. How do I find you on the phone?
We can, Dave. For an unbiased report, give us a call at 863-382-0037. Follow us online at our website, statlerfinancial.com. Follow us on Facebook, where we repost these. If you miss us in the morning, we're right there. Statler Financial Services. And then join us every weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, noon on Saturdays, 10 a.m. Sunday mornings on News Talk 730 a.m.
And back here again tomorrow morning with a look at what actually happened today at the end of the day and a look ahead to what could go on tomorrow on Light FM, right?
That's right, man. We'll talk to you in the morning, Dave.